We finally made it to Taupo, New Zealand for the 70.3 World Championship. We're super excited to bring you guys content all week long leading into the race so you can be part of the hype. I want to give a big shout out to Bicycle for making this possible for us to be here. They're the largest marketplace for used bikes, but you can also get components, wheels, etc. all on their website. Visit bicycle.com/ProTriNews and you'll get fire protection as well as 30% off whenever you list a bike. So check them out. Thank you for listening and hope you enjoy.
I feel like a old-timey football commentator. And he's passing.
Are you a big football guy?
Not American football.
No?
No.
Well, okay. I'm going to grab my phone because I got a couple questions.
Yeah, no worries. I did get a little bit into, like, when I was in the States, I was staying with a family, and it's just the obsession, isn't it? Like, Thursday night football.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's just like, it's the biggest thing. But I understand because UK football's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the constant, I suppose it's just.
Where were you staying in the States?
I've stayed there a few times, but I was in Boulder for a bit, and then I almost got arrested. That's a story for another day. We won't incriminate anybody. It wasn't my fault, but and then I had to go to Fort Collins, and I went to Fort Collins for like 2 months.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and then I stayed with a family there, friends, girlfriends or wives, family.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was like I got the proper American experience, suburban American experience.
Got to go to the high school football games and college football games.
Didn't know. No, I didn't. But I always ran. Which one is the Fort Collins? Is CU is Boulder and then Colorado.
CSU, Colorado State.
Yeah. So I ran around the stadium heaps, but never actually got to go to a game. I'd love to though, because isn't it like high school football is like 80,000 capacity people, isn't it?
There's there's stadiums in Texas that like rival college stadiums for high school football.
That's insane.
Yeah. Texas, Georgia, Florida. I'll throw Oklahoma in there just because we have like a lot of kids that go D1 for football in Oklahoma. But yeah, high school football is like king, basically insane. In all of the South.
Imagine being like a 16, 17-year-old kid and you're like a superstar. You're going into a stadium with 80,000 people.
And these kids are signing like $1 million NIL college. It's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, you just couldn't live a normal life, could you?
No.
Because that'll be your whole, all right, I'm going to run into a brick wall and make millions from it.
Right.
And then you get to 30 years old and you've been doing it for half your life.
Yeah.
It's mental.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
So, I got in today to Taupo.
Yeah.
And did a 5K run. And on my 5K run, there's a hole-in-one challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can smack a golf ball, I guess, onto a little island in the lake.
Yeah.
Have you done that before?
I've done that plenty of times, and I've also stolen a lot of golf balls.
Really?
Because where we do our open water swimming is just it's down towards the river mouth.
Yeah.
And so the river mouth pulls the golf balls in from the hole in one. So it's they're 500, 600 meters away, and they're just kind of the way I look at it is they're polluting the lake. So I go down. Actually, we did it last week, and I went down and got 20, 30 golf balls, and then we just lined them up here and just smashed them off the driveway. So me and Imogen Simmons just smashed them off the driveway and lost most of them into the neighbors' fields.
There's a rumor that you have a video of probably the worst attempt of the hole-in-one challenge.
Yeah, Dan has that one. It was my first one, and just teed it straight off the toe of the golf cart, 90 degrees away from where I wanted to go. But yeah, welcome.
This is your hometown. How amazing is it that World Championships is in your hometown?
It's insane. I was just saying before, usually coming home is a very different. I'm usually on off season. There's nothing much going on. It's nice. It's chill. It's just getting back into training or doing whatever. But now it's pretty intense. It's home, and the pool's rammed. Usually is pretty quiet.
Right.
And then but out here on the farm is super quiet and super nice. It's normal life, and so it actually doesn't feel like a race week. Never mind a 70.3 Worlds race week. But It's really cool for everyone to come here, see Taupo, see where I grew up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's actually very like we have to go to the world, and now the world has to come to us. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So living here, growing up here, are you going to go into town and sleep the night before the race? Or are you staying here?
No, I'll stay here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's 15-minute drive into town, and I'm pretty used to it. I do it like twice a day, some days. So, and my own bed
Yeah.
and everything I know. So yeah, just sleep here, and I'm up. You wake up 3 hours before the race anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well.
Will you change anything? It being here or no?
How do you?
You're
mean?
just going to keep like your routines. Your routine just stays the same.
Nah, stays the same. I'm pretty
Yeah.
relaxed, all that stuff anyway. Like, as long as I eat, decent dinner and a decent breakfast, and it's actually quite good being at home. But the problem is, and it's kind of like it's actually been good practice on the T100 circuit this year because you're just like hanging out with all your mates for, a week. So being here, it's kind of hard to switch your brain into like race mentality,
Right.
But this week, I think is going to be pretty crazy. Obviously, being the hometown boy, there's a lot going on, and it's already pretty intense. So yeah, I'm sure that it's going to ramp up and feel like race week.
Yeah,
tomorrow probably.
I'm glad you brought up the T100. Obviously, we recorded a podcast before the season in February, and you were like, "I would love to just get a wild card for a T100 race." Now to look back and see like how the season played out, how it's been. You finished second in the series, like. Kind of talk to us about what that's been like.
Yeah, it's been actually a pretty crazy year. Like a lot's changed, obviously, and in the best way possible. Back in February, I was down in Wanaka at Brad and Curry's house.
Yep.
We go down there and spend a few weeks down there, but I was going to come back up for Ironman New Zealand, and the flights were too expensive. I couldn't even afford to like fly back to my hometown to, come and watch the race for Ironman New Zealand. So we've kind of come a long way since then. And yeah, I said to you back then, I think like if I've given a chance, I'll take it with both hands. And I obviously got the chance in Singapore and just went all in for that. And I knew it was like, I was in really good shape. I raced Challenge Wanaka, and I know it's only like a local New Zealand race, but I mean, numbers are numbers, and they were really good. So I was like excited to go and see what I could do in the world. And then, obviously Singapore did a lot of heat prep, and the 5th place there, like initially I was like almost disappointed. And then actually it was my best 200, my best PTO result that I ever had. And so that kind of got my foot in the door, and that's all I wanted. I just wanted a chance to sort of prove that I could do it and I could be there. And then, obviously then the season rolled on from there. Got the win at the Challenge Champs, which was pretty awesome. And I think it was like a big relief for me after spending like, the best part of 3 years just sort of like having pretty lackluster results, because I'd done some really good results here in New Zealand. It started off in 2019 trying to qualify for the original World Champs here in 2020 before COVID.
Yeah.
And I'd sort of identified a bit of a niche. I seem to be quite talented at this distance, and I wasn't super talented at World Triathlon.
Yep.
And so, and then I'd obviously done some really good results in New Zealand, but who cares, right? Like it's, would I care and people in New Zealand care, but it's like the rest of the world don't really pay attention too much. So I was kind of excited to go to Europe, and then, I went to Europe, and it wasn't the sort of like expectation that I had some pretty poor results, and had some then pretty poor health for, the best part of 2 years. So then for that to come full circle and sort of like close that chapter of my life, and I guess sort of like, it be how would I say, like confirmation that what I thought the athlete I could be was actually the athlete that I was. And people like Jan saw it, and people like they believed in me, and they put a lot of backing behind me, and I was even losing faith in myself. Like I just wasn't able to perform. I wasn't able to do it in racing. And then I actually was in a pretty bad place, and Kira, my girlfriend, told me, look, Kyle, you just got to go back to New Zealand. And I came back here October last year, and I just love being back here at home. And so things seem to work well, and I train well here, and my health's really good. So I spent the best part of 6 months here last year, and then that gave me the runway into the season to then start performing. And hopefully now I'm sort of like, now I know that I'm the athlete that I thought I was, which is a nice feeling.
Yeah. Was there any races this year that you were like wanting to do that the T100 kind of like, you were like, oh, I want to kind of go in all in on this, and I like have to skip like XYZ races? Was there anything that you were like, dang, I really wish I could have done this or that?
Oh, you mean in terms of like not T100 racing?
Yeah.
Not really. Like this was the one race. Like this one has
This
been
one was
the
the
race.
one that you and Dan had kind of circled all year.
Exactly. So like not even all year, like since
Yeah.
2019, it was like
Yeah.
it was this race. And then obviously my initial plan was to go and do things like Roth and just sort of like fill up a year while I was overseas before coming back here. I was going to come back here in September and just purely train for this one and
Right.
go all in, no stone unturned. And then obviously I ended up being in the position in the T100 series that I couldn't really like abandon.
Right.
Because after, I think it was San Francisco, or maybe it was London, I was talking with Dylan, and even after London, that was actually the only 3 races that I did: Singapore, San Francisco, and London. And I was in a really good position,
Right.
second in the series, and mathematically, it was like I can't really fall too far from here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was like, oh, I actually have to go and do Dubai. And initially, Oman or whatever it was going to be.
Yeah.
It was
right.
2 weeks before here. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, Dylan. Like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, Worlds means a lot to me. And he was like, yeah, I understand. But then obviously, with it being Dubai 4 weeks out, it worked out well. And I figured that I could do it and not compromise this one too much.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, has compromised a little bit, but yeah, I think we'll be fine come race day.
Yeah. Was there any particular point in the season where you were like, okay, this year's going to be a special one?
Yeah, I think like San Francisco was the big, like, I guess,
aha moment.
Yeah, for me, really.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was sort of like confirmation. It was obviously challenge champs. There was a really good caliber athletes there, but maybe it could have bbeen like, oh, it was just a one-off. I was just on a really good day or whatever.
Yeah.
But
didn't wear my watch that day, so it was a good day.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then obviously then San Francisco was that, like, I guess, like, I'm here moment kind of thing. I had just an awesome day as a bucket list race anyway, and then to have the race that I did in San Francisco, and with the way the race played out too, it was kind of like a gloves off day. Like, everyone made the lead pack. It was like, okay, we'll see who the strongest sort of athlete is here. And I was on an absolute day, and obviously just missing out on that sprint finish. And I was like, okay, a couple more tweaks here and there, and not dropping the cup and not going back for it and stuff like that. Like, wow, I can really compete at like the biggest level. Right. And then, that just filled me with confidence. It was hugely satisfactory. Like, and I felt like it just put the wind in my sails, really. And obviously then to go into London and have another really good day in London, and there was a lot of family. My mum flew over for that, and had a lot of cousins and family and stuff come down to support me in London. And obviously just missing out there, I was so hungry to then go and like try and get the next step up. And obviously went to Beijing for a money grab. I mean, and then got sick there. I picked up something from wherever. I just got a really bad tummy bug, and then that just drained my immunity. And then I obviously got a bit sick before Ibiza. And then I was always going to skip Vegas because I just didn't want to do the travel. And then obviously Dubai. I think Dubai actually, like, on paper it didn't look that good, like 4th place, like especially after doing San Francisco and London. But my Achilles heel my whole life has always been the heat. So for me to get 4th place and not be too far back, and actually not fade horribly and not blow up in Dubai was, I think, a good performance for me. And I actually was like in pretty good shape coming out of that. So I'm looking forward to Sunday.
So Sunday, on my flight down here, it was pretty awesome because Steven Adams is in this magazine, right? And Steven Adams played for Oklahoma City. Like, I've watched him play a handful of times. Then I flipped to a couple pages later, and then you're in like a full spread in the Air New Zealand magazine. And so it's like, it's super cool just to see Triathlon 1 in a magazine. Like, I've never seen that before in my life on an airplane. And so do you feel like it's kind of taking a turn for like popularity? Like, is it becoming like, do you think it's becoming what we all hoped it would be?
Yeah, and New Zealand triathlon's always been massive. Like, we have had such a big history of triathlon from Aaron Baker, from Bevan's actually from Taupo as well. Like, when I got into triathlon in 2010, obviously he was the Olympic bronze medalist from Beijing. So it was like, he was a massive inspiration for me, and to be part of the club. And Ray, his dad, used to come to every Monday night triathlon, and it's like, okay, he was kind of the pathway. Someone from this town,
Yeah.
went to the same school, and there's actually so many athletes from this town who punch above, like our little town of 25,000 people.
Yeah.
Has produced so many high caliber athletes.
Yeah.
Like our triathlon club has produced 5 Olympians and 2
That's
triathlon and 3 cyclists.
Yeah.
And then, and then I came from the club, and a whole bunch of other people has come from the club too. So triathlon's always been a big sport here, especially in Taupo.
Yep.
And then in New Zealand, it's almost like, it's getting a really popular again.
Yeah.
And obviously Hayden has a lot to do with that. I think, every 4 years, New Zealand really gets behind the Olympics, and, we love it as a country.
Yeah.
See our little country punch above its weight, and Hayden getting a silver medal and sort of showing the sportsmanship that he did, I think was massive for triathlon in New Zealand. And I think will hopefully inspire the nation, inspire the next generation to come through. And then I think it's just in a really good place globally. I think, like, with Ironman, with T100, with everything, it's just in a super good place. And New Zealand businesses have always supported Kiwi athletes, and Ansco, who sponsored the spread, or it's their spread, I guess. Obviously got behind me this year and give me some free meat and a spread in the New Zealand magazine.
There you go. Well, cool. Let's kind of get into the race this weekend. Obviously, you mentioned Hayden. Like, he's one of the people who can kind of shake things up this weekend. Is there anyone else that you have kind of eyed or circled as far as being a threat?
Yeah, I think, like, I always think there's, 65 guys on the start line, and any one of them could pull out something special. I'm sure Rico Bogan was on nobody's radar last year.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I can't underestimate anyone. And it's like, and at the end of the day, like, I was thinking about it when I was running today. It's like, you always get caught up and you're like, oh, Hayden's racing, Leo's racing, these guys are racing. And obviously there's such insane athletes, but you almost can't let that change your race plan.
Yeah.
Because you either got 370, 380 watts or you don't. Like, that's just kind of a reality.
Yeah.
And like, where you end up on race day is where you end up. And you can't really change your race tack too much. But yeah, I mean, obviously Hayden is almost like, he's raced a couple of really good 70.3s. He's also raced some, lackluster ones, I guess. And but he's an incredible athlete. And so is Leo. And so is Rico. And there's just a whole host of those athletes. Casper Stornes coming through, and like, that are just going to, I think, be here to prove something, to announce themselves. And I actually think feels like somewhat like I'm flying under the radar for this race, which is always quite nice.
Yeah. Do you have any particular feelings one way or the other about the weather for Sunday? Because it's like, right now it looks like it's supposed to rain. Like, do you have any particular way that you're like, oh, I want it to be sunny, or oh, I want it to be rainy, or oh, I want it to be brutal?
Nah, because it's never really brutal here. Like, our maximum's going to get to, like, if it's a sunny day, it'll get to 24.
Yeah.
And I mean, we came from Dubai where it's 40, so it's like, it's not too bad. But yeah, I think, like, I thrive in, I mean, you can't see the conditions outside on the camera, but like, it's brutal out there today.
Yeah.
It's like, it's horrible, 15 degrees, it's cold, raining.
Yeah.
I'd like that, just because it's like, it's hearty. It's going to be a hard day, and I feel like it's going to be a hard man's race anyway, and then that'll make it even more like
grueling a little bit.
It'd be nice if it's just like howling southerly coming off the lake, like pouring down rain. Just a brutal race that'd be super nice.
Yeah, windy on the bike, a little equalizer.
Yeah, it's like, it's been weird recently, actually. Like, for this time of year, it's been like, the lake's already super warm. Mm-hmm. Like, we've been, doing some water skiing and wakeboarding already, and it's like, it's really warm for this time of year. And the weather's been super stable. Like, usually in this sort of spring, summer, it's usually howling winds.
Yeah.
And just the prevailing wind here is the southerly. It just whips off the lake, brings the cold air from the mountains through, and it's just like, it can be brutal. It can be 1 meter waves on the lake. Like, it can be white top 1 meter waves that you can longboard. And so, like, it could be that, or it could be pancake flat, no, a cloud in the sky, and it'd be beautiful. So, and weather forecasts in New Zealand never really work, because we're an island in the middle of nowhere. So it's like, it could say that it's going to rain and be absolutely beautiful. It could say it's whatever. But yeah, just whatever it is on when we wake up in the morning is what it's going to be.
Who you got for the women's race? Obviously, the women's race is pretty stacked. You have any picks?
Yeah, like obviously Taylor Nib is. I mean, even I'd be scared if I was in that race. Taylor's incredible, and obviously she's been on an absolute tear this year.
Yeah.
And but I think Ash maybe has something to prove.
Right.
It's in her neck of the woods. I mean,
Yeah.
quite far away
She's down
still
here.
from Australia.
Yeah, but she's still down here.
It's still like our kind of neck of the woods.
Yeah.
But actually, Imogen Simmons has been training with me for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see her get a really good performance. And I think it's like a course and conditions and conditions that'll suit her really well.
Yeah.
And she's been absolutely flying. So I don't want to give too much away from her. But she's been kind of swimming with me and under my program for the last 6 months and really improved her swimming. And obviously her riding is world class. And she's, going really well across the board. And it's been really nice to have her here for this month. So I really hope she has a good day.
Yeah. 2 local things. One, what's the best place that people who are in town for the weekend, like where should they go to get either good food, good drink, etc.?
So I heard you're doing a live podcast at Finn's.
Yeah.
Which is it was a teenage favorite of mine. It's an Irish pub, and like during the day does pretty good pub grub. It's actually now it's a lot more it's a lot more of a classy establishment now. It's Finn's Bistro and Bar.
Right.
When I was a teenager, it wasn't such a classy establishment.
It was just Finn's.
It was just Finn's, and it was sticky floors, and every Saturday night it gets turned into DJ booth, and so that's always good fun. But no, like a favorite of mine would be Vine Eatery, which is on the same street as Finn's. It's super nice. Like it's good food. You can get good beef and lamb and stuff, and a good cocktail there.
Okay.
Plateau's also a really good place for dinner. But some local things like there's a couple of like I'd say the Moldy Rock carvings would be a go-to. It's really nice. Like you can take the boat out for half a day and get out there and see those. And there's obviously the
someone said something about some like glowworms or something.
Yep, the glowworm caves. But I'd say one of the best ones would be just the hot streams, like especially after the race. So you've got the natural free ones. There's one on the run course actually.
Okay.
It's pretty small. But there's one on the run course.
Yep.
And then you have the one in Spa Park,
which
is nice. But then you have Wairiki Terraces, which is like the one you pay to go. It's like you get a voucher on grab one for like $12-15 New Zealand, like 7-8 US.
Yeah.
And it's like a adults only hot pool, all natural geothermal. The top pool's like 42, 43 degrees.
Wow.
It's beautiful. It'll be a really nice place to hang out after the race to recover and reset. It'd be really nice.
Yeah. And then as far as racing itself, any advice for the age groupers, men or women that are going to be doing the race?
Your
any
brakes,
tips and trips?
Yeah, your brakes aren't rubbing. Just our roads are shit. But actually, I talked to a Canadian lady the other day in the sauna, and like I think we have like a reputation for our chip and seal to be pretty horrible, and it does feel horrible. Like when you're riding, you're like, oh my god, my brakes are rubbing. Especially if you're like riding into coming back home from Reparar, it's like slight uphill could be into a southerly headwind, and you just feel like something's broken on my bike. But it's just our roads are horrible. So just keep moving forward, and don't be. Also wear sunscreen because we don't have an ozone layer in New Zealand, so our UV index is like ridiculously high. Like I don't wear sunscreen in Europe. It's just like I don't really get burnt, but when I come here, it's like I can't even go out for an hour without getting sunburnt. So on race day, wear your sunblock. Yeah,
man. All right, any sponsors you want to shout out? People that have been supporting you all year.
Yeah, man. We've actually got the crew. Well, Leon from Ryzen's here. He's
pumping out the content for you.
Pumping out the content. He's actually filming a documentary which should come out next year. It's kind of a good year to do it. Like, he came to me with the idea, and I was kind of like, I don't know if anyone will want to watch like 30th PTO ranked Kyle, Ryzen have been super, super cool. Canyon, obviously, they all supported me before, like, I mean, thanks to Jan, but
Yeah.
they supported me before I was anybody, and we've just re-signed, which is cool. And yeah, it's really nice. Parkour.
That's cool. Congrats.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
We're trying to get my new bike here for the race, but it's apparently
really?
stuck in a warehouse in Auckland waiting customs clearance. So they're like, we can get
special color, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool. It'll be an eye turner. And then
because your current one's red, right?
The current one's red,
Yeah.
which is I mean, I love the red one.
I love the red one. I think it's like the best looking of the canyons.
Yeah, the new one's like it's
Oh,
nice. The new
man.
one's really nice.
Hopefully
and the
you
new
get
cockpit and stuff like that. So it's like, it's hopefully that arrives. But
yeah.
I had a call with the lady today, and she was like, we might be able to get it to you by Friday. I'm like, I hope so. So yeah, hopefully that arrives. And yeah, like precision hydration, fueling.
Yeah.
Sailfish, shocks, and my car sponsor Winger. They're a New Zealand company who have supported me actually since before I went to Europe. So like, yeah, they're wicked. And the car, I mean, just the whole economy at the moment is kind of not doing great. So any New Zealanders listening, go buy a car from Winger.
There you go.
It'll help them out.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thanks, Kyle. Appreciate the time. Thanks for welcoming us all to your hometown, and hopefully we don't leave it too much of a wreck whenever we leave.
Nah, you guys are all pretty good sorts, aren't you?
Yeah.
Welcome. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you after the race at Finn's for
That's right.
some dirty beers.
That's dirty beers and feet sticking to the floor. So.
Absolutely. Cheers,
cool.
Kyle.
Thanks, man.
Cool, man.